It's become a cliche to say that the pandemic has revealed the fault lines in our economy and society, and that's certainly true. I think even before the pandemic hit, the evidence was strong that we needed to rethink the direction in which our country and our world was heading. We were already grappling with a far more threatening challenge than just the virus in climate change, of course. And we were also seeing growing levels of income and wealth inequality across Australia that had many observers and analysts concerned. The pandemic has really accelerated a lot of those issues that were already facing us as a challenge for the nation.
We have a very narrow Anglo-centric view of economics in this country, because in the rest of the world, there's a wonderful economist at Cambridge who's Korean called Ha-Joon Chang, and he says, there are many different ways of doing capitalism. It doesn't undermine capitalism for there to be a partnership between business and government, because business is absolutely critical to the recovery of the economy, but they can't do it without government. And it's not fair to expect them to do the role of government. The unemployment where I live in central Melbourne is catastrophic amongst young people. So I think when people see that, in fact, this doesn't work, that things don't trickle down, that this doesn't provide enough stimulus, we've got to say, well, maybe, it's not such a bad thing for government to do things if it does it in partnership with everyone else.
It only hastens and I think makes more urgent the argument that we should be exploring the path to renewables and seeking to become, as Ross Garnaut has put it, a renewable energy superpower in the region. We have a landmass with massive amounts of solar energy, of wind energy, and we should be harnessing these things now, because not only can we become a net exporter of renewable energy, but that sort of energy investment can really drive a lot of industry growth here too. So the production of green steel using hydrogen, for example. So a pivot away from, coal was what drove the prosperity of the 20th century. It is renewable energy that will drive the prosperity of the 21st century. And Australia has an opportunity to be a world leader in that space. No, there are no genuine concerns. The myth that the public sector, that a big public sector is a bad thing, is a very deliberate lie spread by a particular economic model that wants everything outsourced to the private sector because that supposedly drives competition. What it actually does is drive profits for the owners of those businesses. When growing the public service, what do we need to be wary of? Well, just that we're placing people into the right roles. And I think one of the scandals of recent years has been that the supposed reduction of size of the public service has actually just led to a lot more outsourcing and a lot more money going to the big five consulting firms. So the expenditure on the business of government is just as much, if not more, but there are fewer secure jobs. And again, that has a massive impact on the middle class.
Could I just add to Emma's point that the most distressing example of this is with the NDIS, which has been outsourced to private providers and doesn't work. And we're now seeing scandalous cases of neglect and so on. I predict there's going to be a horrible Royal Commission on the NDIS one day, whereas if you employed all those people within the government, they wouldn't have to pay that extra bit of profit to the private providers.